So, and we'll just get
So we're
ready to,
getting rocking and rolling here. Where did you
yeah.
come up with me time? It's me time.
Yeah, I like that.
I didn't know what to say because I didn't want it to be, sometimes you guys are snowed in. You didn't have a lot of car stuff going on.
I knew anything
Yep.
car wise.
So whatever. So I wanted it to sometimes, you're driving along and you just have this, you know, kind of like a thorn in your side, just this rant you need to get off your chest, this automotive rant. I
On your 2 hour
like
drive up to Angeles Crest.
yeah. Well, like this morning, uh, I'm reading, every day I look at like bring a trailer auctions, what closed, and people always ask me like, "Hey, are you watching this auction?" And I don't follow auctions while they're going because I'm not buying the car. It's irrelevant to me. The auction is less relevant without a sale price or a bid price,
Yep.
like a reserve not met or reserve not met price. I want to see what it got to. And then I'll read through the closing comments and everything else. And so Casey, my friend's 968, the signal
The
green
green
one
one,
is for sale.
I saw.
And I've been on rallies with him and when I had that Audi RS2, that was his car. He's a really great guy. I mean, the he drives more than anyone I know, more than me, more than anyone I know. And I'm reading through that car. The auction hasn't closed. I saw it show up, and I started reading through it this morning, and I can feel the anger from the comments. Like he just spent almost 40 grand rebuilding the engine, and then so I'm like, okay, I'm getting triggered. I can't read this auction anymore. So then I'm like, okay, I'm looking at a 997 C4S that I think sold. And I thought I sold kind of cheap for what it was. And then this one guy just comes in there and finally the dealer selling it says like, dude, give me a break. You did this to our 996 auction last week. You did it to this auction the week before. So I come off of that and I'm like, like, you know,
Is
just
that the green one that's got a couple 100,000 miles on it?
no, I forget what it was. It was like a silver with a cocoa brown interior and it
Oh,
just
got it.
it
Oh,
sold
I thought you were
okay.
talking about the 968.
Well, the 968 was no, it's in kilometers. It's a Japanese car.
Yeah. It just had
Yeah.
some high number though, I thought. And you're telling me the guy he drives it a lot, which is cool.
But he's only had it for a year or two. He buys
Got it.
I think the roof wheels hold it back. I think if it had a set of cup wheels on it, it would do better,
yeah, I
especially
think
white roof wheels.
yeah, I'm not a fan of the wheels either. I thought he had a set, but that car would have I don't know if it would have come with cup
Is it a
wheels.
93 or a 92?
Yeah, I think it would have come with like D90s kind of looking wheels. I can't
Mr.
Gotcha.
remember.
Kramer, should we proceed with
Yeah, let's
the
start. Sorry,
festivities here?
all right. Welcome to Shifted Opinions, where we're not sure, but cars are definitely involved. I am here today with my co-hosts Casey Parkin of Group C Curation and Dave Van Epps of Sonderworks. And today we have sort of four different segments, and we'll see how quickly we can get through all of them. We promise this will not be a 2 hour saga. It'll be a now 1 hour fun fix. The first segment is
Ish.
going to be called Me Time, which is where we can each talk about what we did in cars, or if there's something like just now me going on a rant about bring a trailer commenters. We'll have some automotive news. And this week we've got some really good ones I'm personally super excited about. And then each week we're going to do something called Heart of the Matter, which is something we're really passionate about. This week we're going to talk about the values of cars in the aughts, like 2000, and actually going into the 90s. I don't know about you guys, but I consider the aughts like mid 90s to like 2012. Like I do it in Porsche terms, 993 through 997. That to me is a unique segment, and we're seeing prices going kind of
It's like dog
bonkers.
years, right?
Exactly. And then the last section will be tying into what the heart of the matter is, which is which would you want? And we're each going to pick a couple cars. I want to pick a car that is from that period. We got to come up with a name. You know how Radwood's 80s and 90s? Like, what should this late 90s to 2010, 12 era be called? Is it the aughts? Is it the aught knots?
It should be called the emo years.
The emo years?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's actually
Matt will
that's
like
not
that.
bad. Yeah, that's not
Perfect.
bad.
I would
Emo.
like to celebrate
Right.
that Jimmy Eat World just announced their 25th anniversary of Bleed American tour. Um, I know that some of our listeners will like that. That definitely fits in well with the emo years of cars. So there you have it.
Perfect. So we have emo wood.
Emo would.
It's very
Boom.
you're very in
We
touch with
set it
yourself at that
here
point.
on February 10th, 7 o'clock Pacific time. There,
Trademark.
copyrighted.
Was
So,
it was therefore spoken.
Dave, I'm very curious because you're really the only one who went on a drive, a serious drive this weekend. And when you said I'm going on a rally in Florida in the same sentence, I didn't understand how that could possibly work. So why don't you
Well,
share what you
I
did?
will. Yeah. This is the some of the lineup behind me here for those of you on YouTube watching this. This is some of the lineup from Gator Crawl. Now, Gator Crawl is in its sixth year. I've done five. The first year I did not do, and it's always in Central Florida and not the hot spot of automotive, roads for sure. We actually were trying to do a Google search to figure out where the curviest road was in Florida, and it gave us like three options, none of which were longer than like 3 miles. It
I was
was
thinking the three options would have been like freeway on ramp, freeway off ramp, freeway clover
yeah,
leaf.
yeah, like a clover leaf of some type where you're
You
really
guys
just
could just sit
pulling
there going around
lateral
clover
G's.
leaves.
Well, this is a great event. It's put on by a friend of mine, Keith Ennis, who owns Ennis Motorsports down in the Jupiter, Florida area. And this is the last year. It's actually held at the Mission Inn and Resort, which is in a little town called Howie in the Hills near Ocala. And it's just a fun time. We go down there. It's obviously a lot more for the people, and there's some BMWs. This was kind of a combo BMW air cooled Porsche, some really cool cars. I don't know if you, as I was panning around in that, if any of you saw this car.
Yeah, I was going to say, is that a Mosler?
No, it's
Wait. It was from a TV show called McCormick and Castle. Am I
okay
not
if you say so. I have
really?
no
You didn't
Or a
look
idea.
it was
restaurant
called
called
wasn't it?
McCormick and Schmidt.
Yeah, no, it's not the pub, but is it it wasn't it called like the
Right there. There's
Coyotes?
the
I know
name
it's
of the
a,
car right there.
I know, but wasn't man.
Man, look
I
at
don't
that
As a
know
kid,
thing.
I
I don't know
wanted
who
this
would put
car.
this in any TV show. You did want this car as a kid?
Well, but picture this car came out. This was like what 80s, like early 80s.
Yeah, like
So
83,
early 80s,
probably something like that.
I'm like 12 years old. It looks like a slot car. I mean, I didn't know
Does.
it was. Is it a Volkswagen power
Oh
plant?
no, it's a Chrysler based product. I think they made I don't even know what the number is. It's I had this all looked up and I was going to mention it, but it was the most interesting car here for sure. And this car was complete. If you saw it, it was purely a time capsule for sure. Very interesting car. The gentleman who drove it had another one. This was his mechanic's car, effectively, and they're doing a restoration on this thing. The numbers are very small, and if somebody gets a chance to look all that up, and
For good
it's a
measure.
quick.
Forget what to say for Casey. There's a reason it was so like I just
I would
Googled
agree
it.
with that.
I love it.
Let
Google.
me not
Yes.
digress. Let me not digress too far off the
Well,
top.
no,
Uh,
just Google says
No,
a
power to
rare
that guy, though.
American sports car.
I
say
mean,
that again, Paul.
golly, you show up in that thing. I mean, I don't know, you did
You're going to get
something.
noticed.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. Power to
Well,
it
the
him.
looks
amazing
like
thing is it survived. That's the amazing thing because that it's all fiberglass and it's not.
yeah.
I wouldn't call it Porsche fit and finish.
Well, if
Oh
you saw
yeah.
that front bumper there, it looks like somebody flipped a trough upside down and grafted it to the front of the car.
It's got
Very
Wow.
FJ62
interesting.
headlights.
It's very a mishmash of bits and parts and stuff, but they made enough of them to actually make it a car. So, whatever. That was interesting. Like
It was
like all
created by
rallies.
Warren
Yep.
Mosler, but it wasn't a TV. It had several TV appearances in the late 80s. I knew
Okay.
I saw it somewhere in my TV childhood.
And it
So
immediately imprinted on you.
it is. Yeah, the fit and finish of fiberglass. So,
Oh,
oh, that's a good look.
yeah. Talk,
Well,
That's
that
like
was the
some of
son.
my
start.
snow
It's a
setup looks like.
yeah.
Yeah, a little bit with those fenders not quite as wide, but this is my friend Jaime's car out of Florida. And he had a little mishap on the way up, unfortunately. He just lost a tire, blew a tire. And so we had to get that. He lost the first day as a result because nobody had his tire fitment. They had to ship him in. So he was not able to drive. I will say candidly, the first day was not the best of the driving. Really sweet. This car,
That's
we did
awesome.
interior on, we did some paint and body. We sent the mechanical fuel injection. This is 72T, 2.4 mechanical fuel injected car. Very fun. That's a great little car. This build really impressed me. I think this is a I want to say this was an 84. Really well done. And the guy's backstory on this car was that it was actually done by some Chevy store who built this car that had a restoration shop as part of the operation. But I thought
Hmm.
that was one of the more beautiful cars that was there. Some cool BMWs as well. I think I sent you guys this picture of
That
this
is cool.
Oh
Bauer.
yeah. Yep.
It was
Bauer
beautiful. This
2002.
car was in absolutely stunning condition. Just gorgeous, gorgeous car. So,
For
uh,
those listening, we're looking at a silver 2002.
well,
Can't
you
tell if it's a
were,
roundy
yeah.
or not, but it's a Bauer cab, which if was sort of like an outfit in Germany that would modify. It was a bodybuilder, or not a bodybuilder as in muscles, but chassis builder that would make a soft window Targa kind of style out of a BMW. By the way, all right. So fun fact trivia: what famous Porsche contribution did Bauer have? Porsche hired Bauer for a special project. Do and Casey, you should know this, but
Hmm.
what Porsche project was Bauer responsible for Porsche? Dave, any thoughts?
Not well. I mean, I'm assuming it had some kind of soft top tie-in somewhere.
I'll give you a hint. Nothing to do with the fact that we know him as a cab. They did not build a cab for Porsche. They built a 911 Silhouette coupe. Which 911 did they build for Porsche? Boy, this is getting too easy.
Oh, seriously, 997?
I
No.
am completely lost. I think I blacked out. You're
You
talking
They
must
about
have,
B.
developed the
Casey.
I'm
nine the
going to
nine
talk
they
about
developed the
so many BMW.
959.
Oh,
They
really?
developed the
Nine,
959 chassis for Porsche.
Oh,
really
Yeah, which
interesting.
which sounds really funny. Let's see, where was it? Yeah, let me
do you
see.
guys know a lot about 959s? I really don't know much about them. It's just been one of those
Can't say
things
that I know a ton. I
that
mean,
I've never really
driven
involved
some.
myself with because it's so far out of my wheelhouse.
So, 959 produced between 86 and 88. It had a very complex assembly contracted out to the Stuttgart-based coach builder Bauer, often referred to as Bauer in context, rather than being built entirely at the main Porsche factory. Master technicians assembled 292 to 299 units by hand, managing the advanced twin turbo, blah, blah, blah. So basically, it was just so complicated. Porsche couldn't interrupt their normal production. In the late 80s, they were a, full auto manufacturer. So for whatever reason, Bauer had the capability to do this sort of small batch production, which it's funny because we all think of you hear Bauer, it's like Bauer cab is one word, and you think of as I think more specifically BMW. I think they did a lot of other cars, but
Huh,
anyway, fun
interesting.
fact. Um,
Well,
hey,
the other little bit,
wait, by the
and
way,
I mean, it was
what did you drive? You drove your GT3
I
RS?
drove my C4. Yeah, my C4, my
Okay.
90 C4S. I keep saying S, excuse me, C4, black, some fantastic sports seats that I really love driving on this car. That I still, I always chime on those sports seats for especially, later sports seats. Wonderful
I
seat to
I got a
drive
set
in,
of those
really
in my
connects you with the
car. They're
car.
awesome.
Do you have
Great
those in yours,
seats.
Casey?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Oh, that's
It's
great.
having sports seats in your Porsche is almost like sitting on your 401k now. They've gone up.
It is.
You look across the board, even and actually, sorry to digress, but we're talking about sports
No,
seats. And Casey, you would maybe know this. You look at 993's hardback sports seats, and this is getting nerdy. They're a freaking fortune. You see them go on bring a trailer or auction sites for 15 to 20 grand for a good set. And if they're
not as
painted
good to
back,
sit in either, Paul.
Mm-mm.
what's that?
They're not as good. The hardbacks are not as good a seat to sit in,
I
actually.
I
I've been on that
agree.
three.
what's the difference between a 993 and a 996 sports seat? Are they that much different? They look
No,
so
they're not. They're
similar.
very similar. They have the wing. Um,
Because like for instance, a set of and actually I thought this was kind of high price. A set of 996 sports seats that were black, which is desirable because they just plop in any car. That looked pretty good. Sold for like 5 or 6 grand on Bring a Trailer last week. And actually, I think those seats were just not long ago like 2,500 for a pair. And I thought,
yeah,
besides the stitch pattern being different, if you had a 993 and you really wanted sports seats, the 996 sports seats are way more comfortable. They look similar. If you're going to redo them with some cool fabric, at your shop, like, is
yeah,
there
it's a good way
anything
to do
wrong
it.
with fitting him in? Would they look out of place in a 993?
No, it would look quite in place as long as you, like you said, as long as you did the stitch pattern the same. I mean, and we that same issue occurs with the later seats, the sports seat as well, with the between a 964 993 seat. It's just the way it's sewn in the centers is the only difference really, and the frame's the same and so on. So
So,
it's easy to kind of retrofit that seat, that later seat into the 993.
I mean, are we kind of blowing up the spot for 996 sports seats, and now this will be the beginning of them being worth money? Because I have them in my GT3, and I love them. And I'm thinking like, man, everyone's paying 20 grand for 993 sports seats. Buy these, do a
Yeah.
cool fabric, boom, right? Casey, am I wrong? Is Dave wrong?
I
No, nobody's wrong. We're
I
all right always.
so I had a set. I wish I knew Dave then, but I had a set built for our 968. Sorry, they were softback 993 sport seats. So I had a set
Hmm.
of. So basically, it's like a 964 sport seat, and as Dave said, the centers have that kind of arch look in them to mimic a 993 seat because that's what 968s had inside of them. I I don't have a tremendous amount of experience like long-term driving experience in 993 sports seats or 996 sports seats, so I can't really make a real comment on it.
Okay, it
Well,
was just,
I
it was just
certainly
something I
can,
was
and I
thinking
think
about.
we're great. Drove the heck out of the car. It was great. Lots of miles, probably put 16, 1700 miles on the 964 between the drive down there, which is about 8 hours both directions, and then the time on the road. A lot of fun, a lot of great resort, great people, great dinner at the end, lots of revelry. Obviously, we talked a little bit about the drunken wine video that I sent you both.
Oh,
Somebody was
maybe once we have a Patreon, we could we could show that
the
video.
special
There's
the
so many
specials.
elements of that video that are incriminating, but basically,
No,
Dave,
we won't.
Well, I
I
think I
won't go
think we're
into
I think
detail
we're
of some of
good,
the fact
Paul.
that
I think we're
if you've
good.
been on a rally and you've hung out in the parking lot or in the bar and you've gotten a little too comfortable with your co-rally mates, crap flies, and that was a
Absolutely.
beauty. So,
It was fun. We had a good time though. And
and
then
really
just
quick,
before I
yeah, go
hand this
ahead.
off, sorry, because I don't
Yeah.
want to babble up too much here, but we have, we've got the baton here on our value backdate, our John H build. And this car is making progress. We've got some rear bumpers fit, and we've got the front bumper for the uh, two, excuse me, the 911 RS 73 911 RS kind of look here. Um, and the thing I wanted to point out about this, if you're taking a look at it, and I think I touched on this last week when we were talking about the deck lid, right? Both these pieces were bought from two different vendors.
So
And
for people listening, it's a impact bumper
86 is
era
the car of the
911,
year.
86
Yep.
911 being backdate to a long hood, and these are the fiberglass pieces that typically go on a backdate build, which is the bumpers and the deck lid. And if you're buying a good backdate build, that's kind of all you want in fiberglass. I always tell people shy away
Yep.
from fiberglass fender cars,
Oh,
if
yep.
you
The
can.
fenders on this, we finally got the second fender in, slightly different finish on that fender. It was kind of a dull finish versus a satin finish. Not that it matters, it's just primer on it anyway. But we finally got the second fender, so all the bits and parts, the thing is moving along. Um, and we're going to have this thing kind of assembled. But the point I was going to make was anybody that's out there looking at this stuff, and we all want to do these upgrades to our cars. We all want to look at things like different tails, no tail if you have a tail, a duck tail if you happen to like duck tails. and you're going to take these parts, or somebody's going to take them to a body shop, and they're going to give you options, and you're going to, oh, what's this going to cost me? The amount of time that it takes to rework in the body shop a badly done, or more of what I'll call a race type, bought for race cars, not base, no, not bought for finished cars that you want to, enjoy and drive and take to cars and coffee. That quality is very different. Quality from this front bumper and rear bumper, and the fit was outstanding. And meanwhile, the quality on the rear deck lid is going to require us to have to do a good bit of work. Now, it was a little bit cheaper, of course, but it's the classic case of you get what you pay for.
Yep.
So I just, for a couple of $100 when you're looking online, these rear deck lids, especially a fiberglass rear ducktail, is going to fit really badly out of the box. It's almost always going to require some work. And if you think
So
you're just going to buy it and bolt it on, you're nuts.
not so we don't have a sponsor for this, but is there a preferred fiberglass?
Sponsored by Sunderworks is the sponsor today. Today's
Yeah.
episode
So
is brought to
so
you
is there
by
a
Sunderworks.
preferred vendor that you try to steer your clients if you're going to buy these parts from?
I think the people at Getty Design do a really wonderful job. They're really good. I'm certainly not going to disparage anyone else, because all of this stuff has its place. And when you're buying something, it's just got to fit correctly. And if it's not as critical, again, race car really different than street car,
Yep.
and race car parts never fit like street car parts. And I will say, Getty, hats off to Getty Design. If for anybody that's looking for this stuff, they've got a wide selection. I will certainly give them a plug here today, because this stuff really fit well. My guys were very impressed. And then there were some mounting pieces that we bought along with it that adapted very nicely to the stock positions for the front bumper, the shocks for the impact bumper. They have an adapter that you kind of attach in those little sockets once you pull the shocks out, and it becomes the mounting point for the front bumper.
Nice.
So I thought that was really well done, well executed, well thought out as well for somebody doing one of these kind of backdates. So this car is coming
Awesome.
along very nicely. We still haven't decided on color yet, Paul. And I had a long conversation with John H. about your conversation with John H.
Yeah, I will, unless you say go ahead, we need him to spend more money, I'll stay out of the conversation. 'Cause-
No, he's prepared to spend more money. He told me
so
he will spend whatever he needs to spend to make it right and make it
I've given
good. So if
him
there's
I've given
little,
him plenty of choices of colors from the used car dealer sales perspective of when you're done with the car, why not have a color that brings money versus why people going, why would you paint it that color? But anyway, just in case before we go, you really quick, I'll just condense mine. Getting ready for ice race, 2 weeks away. Holy cow. Getting me ready, getting the car ready. I think this is the final step. The 928 manhole cover wheels, which are from like an 80s 928, donated by my friend Rob Edwards, who's a 928 guru. You probably see him on Bring a Trailer as Teutonic, most knowledgeable guy. He gave me a set of five of these. We now have the
we have a spare as
Pirelli
well, huh?
and we have a spare. We went back and forth. The spare's painted white. The rest of them are painted what we call safety orange. And they basically did a test drive. We put them on yesterday, did a quick 5 mile test loop. I even hustled it through a couple chicane off ramps. I was surprised. I've never driven on ice snow tires. It's supposed to rain tonight and tomorrow, which, if I'm lucky, this Friday there should be snow up in the mountains, and would love to take it up there just to get one snow test drive in. If there's enough snow, practice more walking in snow. But anyway, wheels up 2 weeks from tomorrow, driving out there. So super excited. Still have a lot to do.
We should
Because then
see
when
if
I
we
come
can
Awesome,
get
back,
awesome
Lane
look.
to. We should get
what's that?
Lane to cut a sticker for it. A
Oh,
shifted opinion sticker.
I feel bad. The fact that he did such an awesome job on our logo, and by the way, Marvin, our production person, look what they did with our, that graphic. And then thank you for people who know us and know
Yes.
Casey. He is so against AI that the starting sound is a what specific car is it that starts in the beginning intro,
It's a 74
Casey?
MFI.
So 3 liter, right? 3 liter
2.7.
MFI. Oh, two
Two
seven.
seven 3 liter. Yep.
So
Sorry, 2.7. Yep.
arguably 911/83 is the nerdy engine code. Arguably one of my all-time favorite motors in a long hood, in an early car. I dream one day to have a motor like that again. If you've ever driven a long hood or any early car with a 2.7 MFI correct RS spec motor, you will stop putting these stupid 3.6s and giant motors in them. You will just go with that. So on that note, Casey, did you want to talk briefly about what you have coming on Bring a Trailer? And for those who don't know, Casey also does a lot of marketing on Bring a Trailer for clients, curated type sale, and also manages collections. So
I'll just go briefly. It'll be more next week because I'm doing photography tomorrow. But a 19 GTS 6-speed coupe, a sorry, that'd be a 7-speed, and a 2011 M3 Comp, and then I've got a 2016 GTS PDK that I actually ordered, and the guy took European delivery of new. But that's I can talk about that next week. But I
okay.
need the help from the audience. I need a new daily driver that can hold things. I've the last week I sold this GT3 on Bring a Trailer and I had a second set of wheels and an exhaust for it, and I had to go to the client's house in two different cars. I need a wagon. My directions are pointing me towards a 2015 or 2016 Audi Allroad, preferably low owner. Don't really mind the miles. I will absolutely
Wait.
go through it. What?
And I think we've touched on this before, but one of my least favorite things is people putting so much value on the number of owners. And like, I don't know about you. I have had some one owner
I would
cars that were
love to
dogs.
I would love to argue with this in a future segment. But tradition
Okay, we
hey Paul, this is my time. You already talked about your car.
oh wait, yeah, we call it
It's
me
me
time.
time.
Okay.
Casey's
Anyway,
time.
so if a car's had five owners, traditionally it gets less and less expensive every time. And when you have less and less expensive cars, people treat them like less expensive cars, which is why I like low owner cars. I digress. Anyway,
Yeah.
if somebody has a better suggestion than that, please let me know. I like the old all roads because they have 8-speed ZF transmissions and not dual clutch transmissions. And 8-speed transmissions last a lot longer than dual clutch transmissions do. So anyway, I won't get into the rest of it, but if you have a suggestion or
Do you have a
see
specific,
some,
I mean, why do you want a sedan? Is that really, I
no,
mean,
I want a
i.e.
wagon,
wagon? No, no,
I was
wagon.
about to say Dave's got the I know what
versus an
Dave's gonna say is
SUV.
Cayenne diesel.
Well, no, that's too big. That's too big for what Casey probably wants. But I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out what the objective is here.
So
Just to be
Casey,
able to throw shit in the back and
one
not
of the
worry
Well, the
about it.
Macan, man, Macan's a great car.
No, I
one of the
trust me,
cars
I they paid for a lot of my mortgage. I like car size things better. We do have the Land Cruiser, which is fine, but crossing large distances in the Land Cruiser is often interesting. So I love Audis, but I could maybe be swayed to something else. I've never owned a BMW, but I think it's called like an F31 BMW, which is like a 2016 to 2018. Those are also pretty good cars too. So I'm just trying to do some diligence.
I was trying to think of what it was, but I sold for my buddy Josh, and this is a long time ago, but it was either a diesel Passat wagon, like 2010, 11 era, or a Jetta wagon. And I don't know enough about which one of those it was. And what was really cool about it was he took all of the GTI R parts that we didn't get that were in Europe and fitted it to it. So it looked like an a GTI R wagon. And
Awesome.
but it was a diesel wagon, and I wish I could find what it was. And it was so, oh, here it was. It was a 2010 Volkswagen Jetta Sport Wagon TDI. It was one of the most fun cars, insane range. Like that thing would do 600 miles on a tank. It seemed like the gas gauge never moved. It had great torque, so it was awesome around town. He took it in the snow. It was great. So I was wondering, like, as much as you're kind of Audi guy, what if you look Audi adjacent at the Volkswagen era
I mean, I, I'd
stuff?
be, uh, I think there's a, it's called a, I think it's a Golf All Track. which is
Yep.
very
They,
similar.
they just stopped making that, I think, last year, but that's actually a really nice car. It's a good looking car too.
Yeah, so I would absolutely consider that as well. I need to find the right car. And especially for how long I drive, having the right seats is pretty choice. I had a B8 S4 which had awesome seats which bolt in very simply to a B8 all-road. And you can traditionally get like a full interior out of an S4 in black leather for like a grand. So
Mm.
I've got my eyes open. We'll see what happens.
All right, guys, just we'll move along a little quicker, hopefully. But
Jeez.
news,
Ah,
I know
whatever.
news. This is actually I wasn't sure what I was going to talk about news, and I was super, super excited about this. For those of, I think anyone who's into cars has to have been basically breastfed off of Top Gear. I mean, it's almost like one of those things. Where were you when you found it? I mean, I remember in the maybe 2003 or four or five when I first saw it. Might have been early YouTube clip, and I was just like floored. And if you remember, what was really cool about it was like I remember my mom watching an episode once it became available on TV, and even if you weren't into cars, you were enthralled, and it was just this magic chemistry. We've all watched the iterations of Top Gear. We kind of hoped that Chris Harris group would have worked out. I thought that was the best attempt at it. The American Top Gear, even though I know some of the players and they're all great people individually, it never really took off. Then obviously we had the Amazon thing with the Grand Tour. But as you know, the Grand Tour is coming back with three hosts, which I mean, imagine this: two YouTubers and a TikTok influencer. But I think I mean, that's the day the age we live in. So the new ones are, if you haven't followed Thomas Holland and James Inglesman, they're on Throttle House, probably one of the better YouTube car reviewers. They just have a natural chemistry. And then the third one, which I don't know a lot about, but I've watched his stuff. They call him the TikTok train kid, but he's out of the UK. His name's Francis Bourgeois, I think. Um, and towards the end, he started doing some car content, but you might let me just skip. This is the new three co-hosts right there. Francois is the tall
Different
guy,
audience they're appealing to for sure.
but this is probably how you remember Francis. So does this ring a bell? Have you watched this, Casey?
The
The
Chris
kid.
Harris did a video with him in a chasing a train in like a CLK
Yes.
GTR or something. I think that's the
Yes.
only thing I've seen him do, and I mean, that kid is super stoked on trains.
Super stoked is understatement. I mean, it brings him to tears. He knows all the engineers, he knows the stops, he waves to them. So he wears this camera sort of on his forehead, so it gives him this weird fisheye look. And I don't know if it's because it's cold out and he's running, but he literally looks like he's always about to cry. He's so, so excited, which I think maybe his a little bit naive about the car world, his enthusiasm could play really well. But I am super stoked that it's got new blood, new life. I've met both, James and Thomas from Throttle House. They've come out and hung out at, Good Vibes Breakfast Club and also Malibu. And they're just genuinely great people. So I hope the best for them. I don't know what you guys think about the new show, but what's not to love?
Oh, will
I
we get it
mean,
over here?
Oh yeah, no,
it's
this
on
is
Amazon.
Amazon. This is Amazon.
Oh,
This
okay.
is
It's going to
this is
Amazon
basically
Direct. Okay. It's
taking
not a
over the
BBC
Grand.
show then. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, it's not a BBC show. It's taken over the Grand Tour, and I believe this has got to be a thing owned by Jeremy Clarkson, Hammond, and May. I think they must co-own the show. They have to after the
Hmm.
whole Top Gear BBC debacle. When you leave that and you start your own, you're a commodity. Why wouldn't you own the show? And if you watch some of the recent YouTube or Instagram clips of Jeremy Clarkson going through the resumes, it was pretty funny. So yeah, so good show. I can't wait.
Cool news.
Dave, why don't you go next?
Well, this I just thought this is a quickie. I just thought it was kind of funny and interesting since we're close to the Super Bowl here, just a couple of days behind us. I didn't even notice this ad when it ran, but apparently Michael Bay, who we all know Michael Bay is obviously director, kind of famous for Miami Vice and some other stuff. I mean, I think he's Transformers and big
Bad
action
Boys.
guy. And apparently, he had a sounds like a handshake deal with Cadillac F1 to produce a commercial for the Super Bowl. And they talked ideas, and his claim now, then at the end of December, they said, we're going to go in a different direction, Michael. Thanks so much. And then the ad that came out, at least according to Michael Bay, which unveiled this car as part of the Super Bowl, was kind of a direct ripoff from the pitch that he made. So he is suing Cadillac F1 right out of the gate for $1.5 million, I guess, for breach of contract or something like that. I'm not sure that it's more Hollywood insider news, but it's car related, it's car adjacent.
Well,
So
the thing is, when you said that, I haven't had a chance to go look at. I sat and watched the Super Bowl because I wanted to kind of pretend I was into football, and I I would have picked up on car ads. In fact, the ads are probably to me the most entertaining part. I when you said that, I'm like, I do not remember an F1 car in the Super Bowl commercials.
I
So
didn't either. And I thought maybe I was watching a different feed or something and I wasn't getting some national feed. But then it had a John F. Kennedy, I Have a Dream speech was running in, or maybe not I Have a Dream, excuse me, it's Martin Luther King, forgive me. Um, his speech
the going to
where they're
space, going
talking
to
about going
space.
to the moon
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And that was the kind of the underlying soundtrack of the thing. And then the car kind of starts flying together out of parts and turns into this. So it was interesting. I mean, but I didn't catch it as it was going on, but I do vaguely remember hearing the Kennedy voice in the background. So I think it was there, but I must have
Hmm.
missed it. I don't know about you guys. I was super disappointed in the Super Bowl ads this year. I thought they all stunk.
Just like the game.
Yeah, the game was boring too.
Casey,
What you got?
well, Casey's trying to trigger me because he's got a close-up shot of a speedline wheel with, and people don't realize I don't hate speedline wheels. I hate those three-piece rivet bolts coming out. They could be on the other side, and it's like wearing your clothes inside out, where you can see the stitching, how the zipper's attached, and I find it kind of like nails on a chalkboard. But I will give you a pass, Casey, because what car that is on is truly holy grail shit. So, what do you got
So
for us in news?
there's a couple of cars coming up for auction at Amelia, and I'm sure Dave and I will go check them out when they're there. One is repped by my good buddy Ray Schaefer with Broad Arrow. This is one of the four, technically three plus a prototype of the 968 Turbo RS. And if anybody out there cares, 000 issue 19, it's called the Rarest RS, is probably one of my favorite issues of it because they go through entirely all of the parts on the car and they have basically like everything that makes the car different. And when we did our Porsche Restoration Challenge, I used a lot of factory Turbo S parts on the car that I was able to source through PCNA and Porsche Motorsport. It's super rad. I recommend getting that article. But anyway, this is one of those three factory cars. I think the red one that was on the front of that was the prototype car, and there was a yellow one, and I don't remember what the other color was, but I think two of them ran at Le Mans. I'm not sure what this one did. I didn't dig super deep into it, but super cool car.
That was my question: is what series did that run in? Was it the World Endurance Challenge, or was
So it
that what?
ran in a class called ADAC GT. I know that. Hold on a second.
Okay, he's going above the
Because
car
He's
to grab.
he's in
so
his
my
green screen or
968
whatever he's got
license
there behind
plate
him.
was ADAC GT. So that was the class that they ran in at Le Mans. I think, or I know that they ran them in ADAC in that class. But this car was technically faster in period than a 964 3.8 RSR, which is pretty insane. So really cool car. And like I said, they only made a couple of them,
Do you know what the estimate is from Broad Arrow?
about a million. And
Oh,
then
they're
the
that
other,
much.
yeah, and then the other
Oh.
car is, of course, the car that was used to homologate that car. This is one of 14, if I'm not mistaken, 968 Turbo S's. I think this is pretty insane. I'll pull a picture up later, but there was a very short amount of time that on my car I had 3.6 speed lines on it because I loved the look of this car, but then I realized that the wheels were worth more than the car was. So I quickly remedied that situation.
So
Um,
for those just listening, a 968 Turbo S, most people, even Porsche files, have no idea this car existed. And like Casey said, it was homologated for racing. So it looks like a regular 968, but it's got speed lines and it's got these rockers. The body isn't flared anymore. The hood's got a couple small NACA ducts and a little bit of a wing. And so when you first see it, and it's got, do they have lollipop seats or something similar? I
uh,
think.
I don't.
They have, I think, the same as the
Uh,
968 Club
yeah,
Sport.
then it's got Profies, if I'm not mistaken.
So so when you look at it, your first reaction is, oh, it looks like a body kit that in the 90s someone would have put on these cars. And what do we know what the estimate is
This
on this one?
one's, I think, 800 to 1.2.
Yeah,
Yep,
and they're
yep. I got
and
it up in front of me now.
And for those who know me, I mean, this is top five Holy Grail car. There is a blood orange one in our backyard. He has promised me after I got done with all my health stuff that I could drive it. He's even offered it recently. It's one of those things that I want to be in optimal clutch ability
I
before I
need you
drive
to
it.
give me like 2 weeks notice and I will 100% be there. It's a bucket list car for me.
So
I mean, it checks so many boxes. The interesting thing about 968s is the normal cars were 3-liter 16 valve cars. This car has a 3-liter block, but it has an 8-valve head effectively from a 944 turbo. And it's got, I think, 380 horsepower or something like that. But it's such an interesting thing. I'll put up a picture. This is the race car's engine. So it looks like a 944 turbo engine. It even has the intercooler ducting there in the front, and then of course the normal I guess that the cam runs through where it says Porsche there, but it's got that super rad carbon Kevlar strut brace over the top of it, which is particular to the car. I'm crazy excited. The only 968 Turbo S that I've ever seen is the blood orange one. I was at Air Water a couple of years ago, and it was so cool. But I'm really excited to see both of those cars. And absolutely, Paul, I would love to at least go for a ride in one. One of the prototype Turbo S cars was at Merit Partners, and I was messaging them about even possibly going down there. But what a cool car. So anyway, that's my automotive news, and I can't wait to see him in person.
yeah, and by the way, how many of
Very
you
cool.
guys are coming out? Are you guys coming out for Airwater? End of
I'm
April? They
going to, yeah. Yeah,
I'm
okay.
I'm coming out.
I'm going to Platica, which I believe is
Hmm.
like the week before, and that's too much traveling for me. So I'll have to
So
rain check.
maybe
Maybe
Dave
we
will
can
get to
plan
go.
next year.
Dave will get to go for a ride in the
That
968.
would be a waste. A waste.
Oh, why,
Oh,
why? Just because I'm not a transaxle guy? What are you trying to say?
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
100%.
All
I do
right.
own a nine. I do own a 928, but
That runs
not the same as
sometimes.
this car for sure. I understand, not the same.
So, kind of moving along, the heart of the matter, we really wanted to talk about if you've been watching anything between the auctions, this it's already been in January between Scottsdale auctions, the Mecum Kissimmee, I don't know how to pronounce it, Kissimmee auction.
Kissimmee.
Kissimmee.
Um, there have been what we call sort of an explosion of the aughts, or the emo era, and which is sort of the 993, 997
Emu
era,
wood.
Emo
mid
would.
late 90s. Emo wood, yes, mid late 90s to like 2010, 11, 12. And specifically, and we can talk about like why the price is doing that, but this was sort of a trigger for it. There was a Vesuvius edition 993 C2S. This was a, for those who don't know, it's a 97. They made, I forget, the Vesuvius edition was just a dress up job. It was Vesuvius, which is like a grayish metallic amethyst
Purple.
color,
Purple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
purplish, very subtle. The mirrors were I think supposed to be like a silver. The grill was supposed to be silver. It had all these weird silver accents. It had a grayish interior with sort of purple that looked faded from new. I I wouldn't call this attractive, but and they made I think 60 or 70. My friend Scott, if he's listening, he has a Vesuvius. He'll know because if you know a Vesuvius guy, boy, that's almost the worst 993 guy.
Oh
Sorry,
my
Scott.
gosh.
So, but this one was interesting. I want to get your guys' take on it.
Car's gorgeous. I love that car.
It
I
is
love
so you,
everything about that car. I love the
Dave.
color
You would be a
scheme.
Vesuvius
Obviously,
guy.
I
So
am Mr. Vesuvius.
this one I think was sold out by you on Bring a Trailer. It sold last week. Let me see. It was yeah, North Carolina, Mooresville, North Carolina. Uh,
We
this
had
par-
this car.
this
Huh.
particular one was a Euro one, and it had some cool things. The biggest thing is the X51 Power Pack. Which do you know, Casey, how much the
That's huge.
X51 it added? How much horsepower?
I
Like
don't know.
30,
Yeah,
which
maybe. I mean, I think it's around what a 338 RS is,
right.
which is around 300 horsepower.
And they really sandbagged. Porsche was notorious for the normally aspirated cars sandbagging how much power they really produced. It was a sunroof delete, which try to explain sunroof delete to a non-Porsche guy, and they're like, have you guys ever had that conversation? They're like, okay, so a long hood has a sunroof is worth more, but an impact bumper 80s 90s car without a sunroof is worth more. And then anything newer without a sunroof sort like they don't understand like when a sunroof helps or doesn't help. Like when you see a 7911S that says sunroof delete, I just want to throw up. It's like most of them had no sunroofs.
It's like 356 cabs are worth more than
Yes.
coupes, and then it's the other way around for 911s. I think it's
But
a,
so this one
oh,
it checked a lot of boxes. Sunroof delete, Euro X51. It was a Euro car X51. It had 37,000 miles. It sold for 343,000 with fees. Here's the interesting thing. I started talking to my Porsche 993 nerds. And by the way, you can tell a real 993 nerd, they will eat their young. They love their car and they hate everyone else's. And they will pick apart everyone else's car. They're the ones whose kids could be axe murderers and their kids could do no wrong. They're just so like
these are
my
some really broad generalizations.
I'm telling you, I have probably
Is this
sold
a
more
hot
nine.
take, Paul?
This is going into me time rant because I have sold more 993s than almost any other 911, and I've dealt with a subset of human life on the buyer and seller end, and you start noticing these sweeping generalizations, which are based on some truth. But I mean, I have never seen there a category which is my stuff is your stuff is shit and my shit is stuff. They believe that their stuff is better than everyone else's. But anyway, so I asked my next door neighbor, who is the ultimate 99. He has a C2S. He did point out some really good things. This was a $343,000 car. Casey, they should have come to you for prep. If you look at the photos, it was amateur hour. The
Oh, the
underside,
photos were terrible.
but here's the thing: is there was hardly any underside. But then when you look at this photo here, look at this
Oof,
is a photo
oof.
of the valve cover, the lower valve cover. You can see over here. Let me see if I can get out of the way. On this side of the valve cover, right here. I mean, look at all of the oil. This engine for sure needs a reseal. And one of the questions we sort of got stuck on, and I don't know if Casey would know the answer to this. For those who don't know, 993s, when they went in 96 and to 98, they went to a Vero Ram setup, which is like Honda's version of VTEC. But in that, they also went to what was, at least for North America, called a secondary air injection, SAI. If
Well,
you ever
Paul,
Google,
Vario RAM
yes,
is adjustable intake
intake,
plenum.
not
VTEC
exhaust,
VTEC is valve timing.
I mean,
valve timing. Okay.
Yeah. So
So,
996 was Vario Cam, I believe. So that would be VTEC. Sorry, I digress. I don't
no,
want to
993
upset
said
the Vario
993.
RAM is nine
Oh,
Vario
okay.
RAM is 993. I don't want to you've already upset the 993 people. I really don't want to do any worse. Keep going. I'm sorry.
So the thing, the bottom line with this car was poorly photographed, poorly presented.
Does it have sport
Um,
seats?
No
No.
sports seats. The,
Hmm.
the the notable options were the X51 and the sunroof delete. Sunroof delete for a non-US car is not that uncommon. X51 was really the money pull. But my challenge was $343,000. We basically went back and looked at recent sales. By the way, the aughts values, recent sales is December through now, because there is a significant change from 6 months ago. We think Vesuvius Edition, the color, and Vesuvius and X51 added about 90 grand to the price. Like this car, if it didn't have X51 and was a US car, and it wasn't Vesuvius Edition with 37,000 miles in this condition, it probably would have been about 250,000, maybe less, even if it was a cool color, because it just wasn't presented well. I don't know, you guys. I just sort of saw this and thought, okay, we already seen 993 narrow body prices go up. Um, I found another car, 964, that was a clear, version of this. In just to, further, this was the same week. This was a Resta World 964 Carrera 2, 5-speed manual in stone gray, I believe. Now, let's see, yeah, stone gray with burgundy leather. This car was presented very well. It was out of
Oh,
Arizona.
look at
It
those
looked
seats. Oh,
the
that's
Oh,
awesome.
seats the
I
sports
seats looked
seats.
great. This
I have burgundy sports seats in my 944. That's awesome.
I would love sport seats in my 944, but I can't fit between the A pillar and the seat to get my ass in. But anyway, so I mean, this in the same week, this stone gray one with burgundy sport seats had 34,000 miles, and it sold for
166.5 plus fees.
yep,
Hmm.
$166,000, and it was a Mizwa car. It was nicely presented. Now, here's the thing: is it had sold. And by the way, so this car has horrible BBS wheels,
Yeah.
and it had sold in 2018 with
Oh,
real
that looks
cup,
so much
so
better.
much better.
Oh,
So we're showing the same exact car, and just to give you an idea of values, in 18, this car sold for $83,000 with fees. Now, that doesn't, so I didn't put, oh, by the way, this is the picture of the engine now with the stupid air
Yeah.
filter,
Yeah.
the pad coming down. I just, I think this car, unlike the 993, was presented well, but it didn't, and this was presented better, photographed better. But like when you look past the pretty pictures on this one, you can also see that this was not a loved 34,000 mile car. Similar miles, sort of typical Japanese, sort of driven hard, put away wet, never used. It had, by the way, lots of paint work on it. The Vesuvius edition had tons of paint work. It got damaged in shipping. There was other paint work on it. And yet this car went from 83,000 to 166 in a matter of 5, 6 years. Now, granted, they did have to reseal the engine, which when you look at a 9964, you know that there's a reseal. But I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on these values, Dave?
I think it's a car, right? I mean, there's something about the car. I would agree that I thought a lot of the pictures on the 964 were really nicely shot. The car was nicely positioned for the photos. I don't know. I think the wheels definitely made it look just didn't doesn't appeal to me, but that's okay, right? I mean, different
Yep.
strokes for different stroke, folks. Low mile 964, right? In a good color, not an amazing color, but the interior looked impeccable on that thing. That interior alone probably
Yeah.
helped sell that car.
I mean, think
Beautiful.
about it.
And so
This is the
what do you think?
interior.
Is that 60 up on the where the market ought to be on that car?
so I mean, can you imagine what that car would be worth if it had 3.6 speed lines on it? I
Oh,
Oh
think
my God.
as a
You're setting a
964
record.
owner, I'd love to see cars sell for a lot of money because of how deep I am in my car. But I mean, the way that I mean, try to replicate that car. No sunroof, lowish miles, and it's a Mizwa car. So traditionally, what happens is if they get scratched, they repaint the whole thing. So
so
I look after a couple of Mizwa cars. Two of them are original paint. One of them was fully repainted.
so
But
Casey,
that's that.
explain Mizwa, because I had a couple of people. We were at a Cars and Coffee, and there was a car that, or Good Vibes Breakfast Club. It was a 993 RS
Mhm.
with the maybe magnesium wheels, and it was a Mizwa car. Wasn't that just a the Japan
Yeah,
importer?
so rather than calling them like a JDM car, they say Mizwa because most of them have stickers on the back window that says imported by Mizwa.
But he was
He was the Japanese importer in the
like the
early
Max
90s.
Hoffman for Japan.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought for
But
some reason some guy said, "Oh, if you wanted something special, you had to order it through Mizwa." And I was like, I think everything Japan, which for those who don't know, Japan delivery Porsches are really interesting. Although it's a right-hand drive country, it was a status symbol for people to order German spec left-hand drive cars to be delivered new in Japan, and they allowed that. And so most 964s and 993s that were Mizwa Japan delivered were left-hand drive. They were usually interesting colors. They were usually no sunroof. They were kind of stripper models, no, not a lot of options. And the unique thing I have found over the years, I've probably sold maybe 20 or 30 Mizwa, different 911s over the years, is they're all low miles. They're sort of parked, and if they get a scratch on them, the Japanese just love to repaint the whole car. There's
yep,
no PDR, there's no touch-up paint, there's no PPF. They just frickin' repaint the whole car. Is that not right, Casey?
that's from my experience, that's correct. I look after a 968 Club Sport, a speed yellow one with yellow wheels, and that was a Mizwa car that was entirely repainted. They do often have weird options. The two 993 RSs that I look after are both one's a basic and one's a club sport. Both of those cars have air conditioning. So a
Oh yeah.
993 Club Sport with air conditioning. It's
Hmm.
very strange, and that's really the predominant. Well, 993 people are going to yell at me, but in my from my searching of those cars, the majority of the air conditioning based cars do come out of Japan, which I found pretty interesting. So, I
Well,
mean,
I
I
mean,
think
that's
that
a
I
hot
think
country.
yeah, but Paul, I really think that you're in the situation of find another. I mean, Vesuvio X51. I mean, no sunroof. Yeah, it looked pretty crusty underneath, but imagine if you sent it to somebody like Dave and then somebody like the Merit Motor Company place to clean up the motor and to do all that stuff to make the car look really choice and then maybe do some cosmetic cleanup. I didn't honestly didn't stare too much at it because those cars don't do a lot for me, but I think that with a little elbow grease and then you might even be able to resell it for more money. I mean, who
Well, that
knows?
was my thought is if that 993 Vesuvius edition was better presented. I mean, I still couldn't believe how much it sold for, considering I didn't think it was a great example or presented well, or who knows what example was. It was so vague. This was, by the way, the 993 that I saw up at Good Vibes, and I first thought it was a clone, like a lot of ones, but in case you might know better, he said it was a 993 Touring, but you could order it with the Club
Club
Sport
Sport wings.
package.
Yep. Yeah,
So
the
so it
Club
still
Sport
had
I
an
look so
interior.
yeah. Yeah, the they came in two versions. Actually, sorry, the wings came in two versions. The Touring had the other front end with the kind of like normal, Carrera RS looking, or what's the word? I'm like a 3.2 spoiler on the back that doesn't have any black rubber on it. And then, of course, you could get Club Sport wings, which I think really makes that car. Paul, have you driven one of those?
Yes, I've driven Tourings, which is basically the same thing as this
Yeah,
car.
same.
Um,
Did you
so,
enjoy it?
well, before I tell you my answer, and I really try to put my harsh 993 feelings aside and be unbiased, given a choice, and it's not a value game, that people know the 993 RS is worth more than the 964S, but assuming that there's no value, someone goes, "Hey, Casey, you can have one of the two of these," and Dave, and when you're done, you give it back. You can keep it as long as you want. Don't worry about maintenance costs. You just basically which one of these you're going to enjoy and in the color you want. Casey, would you pick a 993 RS Touring or a 96 Carrera 964 RS?
You could say, Casey, do you want a McLaren F1 or a 964 RS? And I
You
would
pick
pick
the
a
964.
964 RS. To me, there is no better car for everything. And I am super biased. but I absolutely love 964 RSs. But 99, so if you the transmission and engine, I believe maybe are a little bit more interesting in the 993 RS because it's just a little bit more tingy, but the overall packaging with everything else in the 964 RS and the maybe someday we should have a conversation about wings on cars.
Yeah. Didn't
Well, I'll
we,
tell you right
haven't we
now, I
tried to
hate
have that
that one.
conversation? We've
And
tried to have that conversation
We
for
have.
a
any
year.
I really think a 964 RS is peak car.
Well,
And
Well,
I've
what
what
do
do
you
driven
you
a
think of
lot of
that
cars.
particular? What do you think of that particular wing on the one behind you? I mean, that is a
I
very
freaking
standard.
hate it. I hate
Me
it.
too. I
I,
think it
I, I think there
ruins
are
the
very
car. For
few wings, and considering that the 993 RS touring wing is so subtle
You guys are
and
drunk.
so pretty, sort of ducktail. So Dave, which one do you pick? 993 RS, 964
no,
RS, whichever
no, I
color you
picked
want.
the 964 RS for sure.
Yeah. And I
I'm
would
in
too.
I'm
And,
in the
and
starter club program too with my, C4, so I'm in the starter RS club
and
964.
Casey, to answer your question, yes, I've driven two 993 RSs. I've never really had the opportunity to drive it up to the mountains, which is my ultimate test drive. The owner of this car, really lovely guy, sadly lost his house in the Altadena fires. But and he lost some cars, and he turned some of the cars he lost, multiples, into this car. He bought it recently. He offered for me to take drive it in the mountains, and I like we just talked about the 968 Turbo S. I don't want to drive any of these cars till I feel comfortable because one of safety. Oh, God, that wing's horrible, even in white.
That
Just
one's
You
better
are
though.
dr
That
you
wing's
are
a
so,
little
both
but
better.
drunk.
but to answer your question, Casey, the 964 RS is ironically the more engaging experience at any speed. The 964 RS looks fairly benign. I mean, literally, it looks like any 964 except for the badge. A 993, it looks like it's screaming at you, look what I am. It's so kind of ostentatious with the wings, and even the touring looks so aggressive. When you drive, in my opinion, the 993 RS as a car, like you're just driving around Costa Mesa. That's where I drove. Just got on the freeway, did a couple pulls, an off ramp, just make sure for my client everything was working okay. I could be in any modified 993, or even just cruising. It was very benign, very docile. The 964 at 40 miles an hour, that RS, there is no question of what you're in. It is constantly reminding you. It feels, you know what it reminds me of, Casey, is my 996 GT3. It's one of those cars that at low speed, just driving around, it doesn't want the whole time. It's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. I want to be on a different road at a different RPM.
So
That's my thought.
I had a long talk with Art from Driving While Awesome in Radwood the other day on the phone because we're taking this 964 RS to Amelia, and we're basically, I mean, that's the plan, I believe now. But the goal is to drive it from Tennessee to Amelia and then park it on the lawn at Radwood filthy, just because I don't give a shit. I really don't care about cleaning the car. It's just the way that it should be. So there you go, Dave. That's a GT2 R Evo. So there you go. That's what that wing evolves to.
That's what it's
But
for. And I
so
can I
I
see it on this. Like I
okay,
see it
stop,
here
stop.
as
I'm talking, Dave.
okay. I'm
So
sorry,
anyway,
Casey. I
I
apologize.
was
It's your
talking
time now.
to it's me time. I was talking to Art. Sorry, I sounded like a dick when I said that. I apologize. So
Oh,
I was talking to Art, and I know Art has always wanted to drive a 964 RS. And I said, "Hey, man," I said, uh, "this thing's going to be down there. If you want the opportunity, it's yours. I'm sure that I could figure it out. And I know it's going to be dialed and ready to go because I've already done a bunch of preliminary stuff for it." And he said, I'd love to, but I really want to drive it on awesome roads. And I said, Art, I understand. I said, but this is the kind of car that you can drive it 10 feet and you'll know it's special. And there aren't a lot of cars like that because like um like even more modern Porsches, I mean, you really have to be going fast to make
Yep.
stuff seem interesting. But golly, a 964 RS just just up to 20 miles an hour just because it's got that G50 kind of shorter throw transmission, and it's a little bit taller, and the seat's just a little uncomfortable, and it's a little tilted forward, and it just feels perfect. And
I
I love
agree.
it. And I don't like wings on cars. And that's a further, like I told you guys a long time ago, if the light wouldn't come on, and the emergency light wouldn't come on, I pull the fuse for the wing on my 964 because I just wish it would stay down. But it's an
Or you can
insanely
pull the
cool
module
car.
from under the dash. There's a module up under the dash you can pull and the fuse and disconnect the motor in the back. And I think you can keep the light off.
Well, I
I just
might
So
do that.
experienced this because I had to put a new module in my C4, and that fixed everything. So my wing
Would
does
they,
go up and down. I agree with you though, Casey.
but Dave, you've got that Mint 964 RS there. What do you think of that car?
I think it's a great car. I mean, it's lovely, and that car's got real miles on it. I don't have it here now. I mean, the client has it back down in Florida, but that's a fabulous car, and that car's got well over 100,000 miles on it. It looks gorgeous. Seats are great. I would agree with everything you're saying. No argument whatsoever.
Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic car.
So that was a
I agree.
long digression. I apologize.
So okay, guys, just for time's sake, we've been going an hour. We can continue the odds conversation. Stay tuned next week and finish talking more about what's happening with his prices, talk about some of Dave's cars, Casey's cars, and go into which one, or do you want to keep going? I'll leave it up to you
Why don't we
guys.
just finish this segment and then we'll do the segment for next week. Does that work for
So
you?
sort of like a
Teaser.
tease. If you
Yeah.
want to see
Yes.
which cars we're gonna pick that are sort of contrarian to what's going on with these prices, stay tuned next week. So all right, so going on what's happening with the prices in the emo wood era cars.
We do not need to use
Doesn't
that
flow
term.
quite like Radwood does.
No.
No. Okay, so if you're listening, watching, please submit names for what we call this sort of mid late 90s to early 2000s era cars. But Dave, E39 M5. I have mixed
Which I've
feelings
talked
about those
about before,
cars.
and I know you're not a great fan, Paul, in particular. And I just thought this one was. I, if you looked at this listing, this car sold for over 60 grand, and I want to say close to 70 with fees and whatnot. And it's an '03. It had very low miles. It only had 13,000, excuse me, 19,000 miles on this car. But other than that, it looked like a very stock nice color combo, not a color combo you saw a lot on these cars. I mean, because this was not by '03, you might have seen more of this color, but most of them had the two-tone red or blue or some with the
Yep.
black on the inserts. So this is more of what I consider kind of an everyman M5. But considering
It's
that most of
Skippy.
these
I
cars,
call it Skippy peanut butter interior.
yeah, but it's nice. It's good looking. I like the
Yeah.
look, and I think the cars, well compared. Do you like it better with the black blue, Paul?
I absolutely detest black on tan. And I that's why we can get to it next week. I am right now redoing my 928 to get rid of the black and tan, and this is going to be the interior of my 928. Literally.
You like
That
brown,
exact
but you don't like
dark.
tan. So
No, no, mine's not. I'm changing it to dark. My car 928 interior is just like that M5. Black outside, Skippy peanut butter inside. So no matter what you do, outside always looks dirty, inside always looks dirty. That is my
but
biggest beef.
you're going to a dark brown though.
I'm going to from a light brown to a dark brown and then doing Pasha, and I'm not doing the traditional one. It's going to be dark brown and light brown Pasha. And then the rest of the
Hmm?
car is black. And the problem I have, I can't tell whether they were BMW E39. It did this era, Porsche certainly did it. If you wanted a tan interior, you got freaking everything tan. It vomited peanut butter. It was the dash. It was the steering wheel. It was the door tops. It was everything was one monochromatic, ugly color where everything looks dirty. And then if you wanted to, you'd have to special order the black, where you got black steering wheel, black dash, black accents, which looks way better, a little more palatable. This one looks like it got the same curse as Porsche did, same era where the door panels are all
Sure.
brown. Is the steering wheel brown too? I didn't look that up and see.
Steering wheel is black. No,
Okay, well
it
that's
would
a
be
big
black.
plus. But I
No,
just
I just think, I mean, again, that's for 71, $2,000, I think
that's
you'll
a
have
lot of
more
money.
issues with this car. What are you going to do with this car? You're going to drive it? It's got 19,000 miles on it. What's the play?
And
I mean,
it's I mean, what do you there's so many other things I would rather get. If I want to haul four people around, going back to what Casey talked about, an all road, if you really want something cool, although it'll bankrupt you, an Audi RS2 in that price range. And there's a family hauler that is, yeah, there you go,
There you go.
Casey.
Well, this
Is that
car
a
even had
B
an
B
accident on it, and it
that's
still
a
went for 70
B is
grand.
that a B6 RS4 Avant you put in there? Is that what
it
that
was a
is?
B5.
B5.
That's for
So
next week, though.
so yeah, I mean, there's another example. It's not just Porsches that are going for crazy prices. E39 M5. That car, I feel like in that condition, that color combo, although '03 the most desirable, that color combination, even a year ago, I think would have been 20% less. And that's possibly another victim of
Hmm.
that. We'll skip although I love Dave, your Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4, and I looked at that one. The thing about that car was it only had like delivery
Super, it was
miles.
delivery miles.
It was so
Yeah.
it sort of didn't count, whereas the M5, 19,000 miles low. Casey, now he knows that in the BMW world, after the E90, E91, 92, whatever that whole era is, I no longer gave two craps about the M product. This to me was the last. This was kind of like 997. This was the end of an era for BMW. So what do you got there? Is that a
So I've
90
got
E92?
yeah, so I've got a slew of BMWs coming up, an E36, an E46, and an E92, all M3s that I'm working with the clients on listing. And I've had to do a big dive into what makes these cars special because other than kind of seeing them in period, I don't have a tremendous amount of experience. So the car behind me was sold by, I think it was sold by 911R, but an E92 M3. This one checked like all of the boxes, well, nearly all the boxes. It's Alpine White 3 over Fox Red. It has the carbon fiber roof. It has what they call, I think, a single hump, which means the car does not have navigation, so it only has one hump on the dashboard. This is not a competition car, but it does have competition wheels. It also had the rod bearings done. I don't think it had the throttle body actuators done, but that's not very expensive. In this car, with 16,000-ish miles, it was also one owner. Um, Sold for, what are my notes here?
78,000
78
plus
plus
fees.
fees. And that's a big
Oof.
number.
I mean, that's like
I've
Lime
Sure
Rock
is.
Edition prices, isn't it? Or
Yeah, so
was?
when to me, I mean, I thought this car was, I mean, I thought this was like a low 60s car personally. The car that I'm listing it's a double hump car with a sunroof, but it's a comp, one owner since 2012. So not exactly the same car. Does the competition package, does that outweigh the carbon fiber roof and the dash? I'm not sure. So but I thought this car sold for a ton of money. But honestly, as Paul mentioned, it's like the end of interesting BMW for a lot of people. Like this car and like a 1M to me, like round out like interesting BMWs.
Yep.
And then the other
Well,
car,
just really
go
quick on
ahead.
that thing, the thing that's sort of shocking, and although that was low miles, one owner, carbon fiber roof, some things that certainly add to the value. And I know the end of production, is that the last year of production? I know is a big deal. There's some
I believe it's
changes early,
close. Yeah.
so, but the thing is, it seems like 6 months ago, you can get a what I would call high level driver enthusiast, like 50,000 mile, not the right year, but well cared for car, not a one owner, but just a good solid one of these cars, either whether it's a two door or four door manual for in the 30s, maybe low 40s. You
I
know,
think you're a little light based on the mileage, but I think that that car would probably be pushing upper 40s about 6 months ago. But
if
I
if
still
it was
think
like a
that,
50,000 mile
yeah,
double hump,
but I still think that, I mean, I still think that these cars are up, golly, 25% from 6 months ago. I really
and,
do.
and
And
considering you're comparing it to an '05 E46 that you
yeah,
also listed.
in this other car, like this blew my mind. This is this had 13,000 miles, not a competition, white over that orangish color interior. Pretty cool car. 13, I think 13,000 miles is low, but it's not what I would
It's an
call
'05.
absolute collector grade. Yeah, it's an
It's a
'05 E46 M3 stick.
stick, which is last year the 46.
Yep. And this car went for 100 grand plus fees.
So you've got basically two similar cars, similar
Mhm.
miles. One's the E92 era, end of production, nicely equipped, same miles, and the E46 brought 25% more. Is that because it's now crossed over from cult classic to collectible,
I believe
or
so.
is that
I'm not sure the E92 is there yet because I do believe that generation is not necessarily there. But the, as we were talking about for that era, that mid 90s through mid 2000s, E46 is right in that wheelhouse. And a ton of E46s are super beat on. So to find one that's really somebody didn't mess with it,
right?
that's not easy.
So
So a
so
car like this, I believe, is, I mean, I think 100 grand's a ton of money, but honestly, things like
where are you
this are
going to find
kind of
another one?
blue chip now, I believe. I mean, you have to buy one from EAG with probably less miles on it for a lot more money.
So let me ask you this: two questions. One, assuming that they were the same value and you just got it and you were going to drive, kind of like our RS comparison, would you take the E92 or the E46? And the second one is, what if you threw in a comparable E36 M3? Where do you think that price would be? Sub 20,000 mile, one owner, perfect, good color combo E36 M3 would be.
Ooh, uh, I would probably, okay, so let's, I have no idea what the E36 would be worth. I've not,
It would be less. I think it would
it
be.
would be
I
less.
I
I
think it'd
think
be
it would
less
probably
than the
be,
two of them. Don't you
yeah,
think it
I
would be
think it would
like?
probably be in the 60, 65 grand range if I had to bet,
But that's
right?
older. Why would that be worth less if you're going the kind of collector grade?
Because it's less interesting. I mean,
Because
the
it looks just
S50,
like this a regular
yeah, and
325 with a body.
the S52 engine, I believe, is what was in that car is not super interesting. The individual, like I looked after for a while one of those Evo ones with the individual throttle bodies and all that stuff, which made the car a lot cooler. Um, if I had to pick any of these, I would probably do the E92. I think the engine is pretty awesome. Um, a dream of mine back in that era was I guess it was the four-door silver competition black interior manual. I think would be an insane car to own. Just a real great ripper. But so yeah, I'd probably pick the V8. What about you, Dave?
I think I would do the same, although the car behind you now in the images here, the '05 is one I would certainly have lusted after during in that period, right? That's the car you would roll up behind, you would see it as an M3 all the time, and I thought that was a really sweet car. The M3, the 13 M3, it looks more evolutionary as opposed to complete clean sheet, which is why I like it. It's a nice, especially in the context that you've put up here, Casey, where both these cars similar look, similar spec, and you look at those two cars, that side profile. It's just you can see it. It's more modern, but it kind of falls out. And I think that's Paul. Really, to your point, is what's happening is that we're just got this shift. Whatever the emo shift here is this car fits right in the zone. So that's why the later car probably hasn't gotten there yet. But it's all about how old we are and the cars we lusted after, and now we've got some money and all the typical stuff.
And I think
So
that
So I
the examples that I picked are like they're right on the edge of that like guy that parks them and never drives them, right? So they're like right on that edge of usable, but they still can be somewhat blue chip, I believe, and I think that's what made these cars so expensive.
so leading on that, we're gonna spare a 2 hour saga. We're gonna
a
start
marathon
next
session.
week. We're gonna start next week with which one would you want? And what we're going to offer is if we think that this emo wood era cars has jumped the shark, and you really are an enthusiast and you just want to drive something, you want something fun that fits your lifestyle, what else can you buy? Are you just going to lemming along and just go what social media says that everyone thinks you should buy, which is really, I think, part of what the conversation is, why these values are. I think the values were doomed to go up, but I think they've gone up artificially just because of how, the law of scarcity or whatever it is. So next week, we'll talk about what else can we buy? Which one would Dave choose? Casey, myself? Typically, I win these conversations. I usually pick the best one, but I'm hoping Casey brings his A game. I know he's got it in there. So some snarky alternatives would be awesome. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like us, subscribe us, do all that stuff because we are literally paying to do this for you. So please help feed the kitty and stay tuned for more fun recording once a week. Thanks, guys. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of the week.